director of the film, Steve Loader, is a huge music nerd, and he had been a big fan of my artist career for many years, and had been listening to my records a lot while he was working on the film, which is how I got involved in the film in the first place. He came up to me after a show and said, "Hey, I have this project I'm working on. I can't really say too much about it, but I think you might like to be involved in it." And I walked into this building for my first meeting, and I was like, "Oh man, I think I might be making some music for a Disney film." First, I'll talk briefly about the instruments that we used for Gruff, because obviously this was kind of the initial, big goal, was to get great sounds for him in particular. And one of the wonderful things we stumbled upon are these planters from the store. And as you can see here, all the ones that you use for outside use have a hole in the bottom, so the water can drain, which actually makes them perfect for placing on these cymbal stands. And because they have a lot of overtones and they're kind of dissonant, we ended up using a lot of these in some of the more eerie scenes for Gruff. We'll start to hear the pots. We ended up having a lot of different ideas for Gruff because there was such a directive to figure out what he was all about. Ben here is going to give you a little demonstration of what that sounds like. The storm was actually a character in the film, so one of my goals was to find a sound specifically for the storm. And this actually opens the film. It's the very first sound that you hear, and you can buy these things online. I think they're less than $1. They're actually meant for kids. I had these when I was a kid. They're called whirly tubes. I think the actual correct instrument name is a corrugaphone, having something to do with the corrugation or something, but they sort of sound like a soprano, but to me they also sort of sound like a whistling through the trees or something. Do you have the opening cue?
I do, as a matter of fact.
I knew that I wanted to use acoustic stringed instruments on the film because I have a big background in that, and alternate tunings, and low strung guitars and high strung guitars and all these sorts of different things, but I didn't want it to be an acoustic guitar score. I was looking for new ways to play acoustic instruments, and what we ended up coming up with is this idea, and it's really cool. It actually takes two people to play it. And we use these dulcimer hammers. It creates a percussive yet still melodic effect. Was what we used to describe Fawn's character, because it's beautiful. It's really versatile and bright. She has a lot of different types of scenes. Obviously, it's her emotions that carry us through the whole film. So, we were able to do sad things and upbeat things and, more moving action, scary things, all sorts. One of the biggest challenges was coming up with a sound for Nix's character. The obvious place to go for her would be military type instruments, marching, snares or bugles, whatever, things like that. But the director actually told us specifically to stay away from any military kind of instruments because he really identified with the character, and she's actually not a bad guy in the film. She, cares just as much about the characters and Pixie Hollow and everything as anybody else does. She's just coming at it from a different perspective. And early on I had found these pipes. It ended up working out perfect because when you play them, especially quickly, they have a lot of action and motion to them, and she's in a lot of action scenes. You see